नमस्कार विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो, खूप सर्व विद्यार्थ्यांच्या डिमांड नंतर आपण आपली इंडियन पॉलिटीची बॅच इंग्लिशमध्ये सुरू करत आहोत. ही इंग्लिशमधील बॅच मी जवळपास सर्वच्या सर्व लक्ष्मीकांत कव्हर करण्याचा प्रयत्न केलेला आहे. ही इंग्लिश मीडियममधल्या बॅचची तुम्हाला एक नोट्ससुद्धा मिळेल आणि यासोबतच तुम्हाला या बॅचचे सर्वच्या सर्व व्हिडिओज, आपलं जे ज्ञानदीप अकॅडमीचा लाल कलरचा लोगो असणारा ॲप आहे, या लाल कलरचा लोगो असणाऱ्या ॲपवर तुम्हाला सर्वच्या सर्व बॅच मिळेल. मग या बॅचला ॲक्सेस किती असेल, व्हिडिओज केव्हा अपलोड केले जातील, तुम्ही ते व्हिडिओज किती दिवस पाहू शकता, या सर्व बाबतीतली सर्वच्या सर्व सूचना त्या ॲपवरच त्या ठिकाणी सूचना या सदरामध्ये तुम्हाला दिलेली आहे. तर मी तुम्हाला सर्वांना सुचवेल, ज्या विद्यार्थ्यांना इंग्लिश मीडियममधनं इंडियन पॉलिटीची बॅच हवी होती, तुम्ही ही बॅच नक्की जॉईन करा. तुमच्या मित्रांसोबत सुद्धा शेअर करा. यामध्ये मी तुम्हाला प्रत्येक कन्सेप्ट सांगण्याचा प्रयत्न तर केला आहेच, मात्र या कन्सेप्टच्या सोबतच त्या टॉपिकशी निगडीत जो महत्त्वाचा कंटेंट आहे आणि त्या टॉपिकशी निगडीत जे महत्त्वाचा फॅक्च्युअल डेटा आहे, जो तुमच्या परीक्षेसाठी अत्यंत उपयुक्त असतो, हा सर्वच्या सर्व डेटा सुद्धा मी त्या ठिकाणी देण्याचा प्रयत्न केलेला आहे. सो तुम्हाला सर्वांना विनंती की बॅच शेअर करा आणि जॉईन करा. थँक्यू. Hello friends, welcome you all to Gnandip Academy. Now, in continuation to the topic on union and its territory, today we will learn integration of princely states and evolution of various states in Indian Union. Now let's start with this thing. Now before moving forward, when we got independence, at that time, this entire India was a political unit, and India as a political unit was divided basically into two types of the states. At the time of independence, India was made up of two categories of political union. One was called as British provinces. Now the British provinces were completely under the control of British government. Their administration, their finances, their personal administration, everything was carried as per rules, regulations and laws framed by British Parliament. So they were called as a British Parliament. Now second important political unit was princely states. Princely states which were ruled by native princes, but these native princes had accepted the paramountcy of Britain. It means though they were independent in their own term, they had a little freedom in terms of finances, in terms of forces, in terms of administration. They had some small amount of freedom was there, but this entire freedom was subjected to the paramountcy or the supremacy of British Parliament. So this second political unit was princely state, which were native princes and they were subjected to British paramountcy. First, British provinces, they were completely under the control of Britain. When second was princely state, they were not completely under control of Britain. They were under the control of native princes, Rajas, Rajwadas, Inamdars, and all those people. But ultimately, they were responsible to British Parliament, and that word is called as British paramountcy. Now, what happened? Indian Independence Act of 1947, it created two dominions. Two separate dominions were created. One was India, second was Pakistan. Now, remember one important thing. India got a dominion status on 15th of August 1947 under Indian Independence Act of 1947. So, this point is very, very important. Indian Independence Act of 1947 gave or created two dominions of India and Pakistan. Now, these British provinces, they had the freedom to join India and Pakistan. But three options were given to princely states. Princely states which are under the control of native princes but subjected to British paramountcy. They had three options. First, they could join India. Second, they could join Pakistan. And third, they had the option to remain independent. Now, at that time, total 552 princely states were there. Out of these 552 princely states, 549 decided to join India. See, now I want to make this thing very, very clear. See, in this case, one simple thing, if this is entire India, out of this entire India, let us say this portion on this side, shaded portion is called as British provinces. Now, these British provinces were divided into two dominion. One was dominion of India, second was dominion of Pakistan. Then these princely states, they had three options. They could join India, they could join Pakistan, or they could remain independent. Now, out of these 552 princely states, other than these, we are talking about only these 552 princely states. Out of these 552 princely states, 549 they preferred to join India, whereas 3 states, they preferred to remain independent. What was the name of those 3 states? See, 3 states were integrated into Indian Union through subsequent time, and these 3 states which preferred to remain independent were, one was Hyderabad, second was Junagadh, and third was Kashmir. So definitely you could get a question, what are the various methods and instruments used to integrate these 3 princely states into Indian Union? Hyderabad was integrated through police action, Junagadh by referendum, and Kashmir by instrument of accession. I repeat once again, these 3 methods were used to integrate Hyderabad, Junagadh, and Kashmir into Indian Union. You could definitely get a question on the method used. And another point they could ask you chronology. Arrange these states into the integration into Indian Union in increasing order or decreasing order. Clear? 552 states, 549 plus these 3. Now, when we started the use of constitution was started when constitution came into force. At that time, whatever states or whatever political units which were there in India, they had 4-fold classification. That classification was Part A, Part B, Part C, and Part D. So this was the 4-fold classification of all the political units of Indian Union. Now, what were the parts of Part A? Part A composed of governors provinces of British India, means those provinces in British India which were under the rule of governors provinces of British India. It was 9 in number. Then Part B, these were princely states with legislature. It is also 9 in number. Then Part C, these were chief commissioners provinces and princely state without legislature. Chief commissioners provinces and princely states without legislature, these were 10 in number. And finally Part D, which composed of Andaman and Nicobar. So this was the 4-fold classification of various political units into Indian Union in the year 1950. Part A, Part B, Part C, and finally Part D. Now, how these various states and princely units, princely states and British provinces evolved into current scenario? Let's go into these things one by one. Now, what happened? If you look at India, India is a multilingual, multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious country. A vast variety is there. India is called as a subcontinent. Thousands of dialects are there which are being spoken in India. And now it becomes very difficult to integrate all these variety of people into Indian Union. And this was more difficult at the time of independence, as we were not woven into a single political union that cohesively as we are right now. The only common thing which binded entire India together was Freedom Movement and Indian National Congress. And that's why it was more difficult to bind all these political units together, and they had differences in language, differences in culture, differences in thinking, differences in all other aspects, differences were there, and how to bind all these differences together was a major question over here. That's why S.K. Dhar Commission was set up in the year 1948. S.K. Dhar Commission was called as Linguistic Provinces Commission. So now see, this name is very, very important. Many a time UPSC or MPSC or any state service commission will not ask you or will not give you name of this S.K. Dhar. They will directly give you Linguistic Provinces Commission. That's why remember, S.K. Dhar Commission of 1948 is also called as Linguistic Provinces Commission. It was established and it gave report in 1948 June. What it said? It recommended the reorganization of states on the basis of administrative convenience rather than linguistic factor. It means, again, S.K. Dhar Commission, it rejected language as the basis for reorganization of state. It said language cannot be the basis for reorganization and administrative convenience should be the basis for reorganization. Language cannot be the base, but administrative convenience should be the base for state reorganization. Now, this report was altogether rejected by many states, and many states showed the resentment over the report given by S.K. Dhar. Then came a very important committee constituted by Indian National Congress. It is famous as JVP committee. It was constituted in April 1949, also called as Linguistic Provinces Committee. It had the members Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and Pattabhi Sitaramayya. I repeat once again, three members were Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, and Pattabhi Sitaramayya, JVP committee. Now, this committee submitted report in April 1949. What it said? See, it rejected language as the basis for reorganization of state. So here we have two important conclusions. S.K. Dhar Commission and JVP Committee both rejected language as the basis for state reorganization. After prolonged agitation and death of Potti Sriramulu, a worker of Indian National Congress of very high standing, he died after 56 days of hunger strike, and it led to all kinds of chaos in Andhra Pradesh, in Madras province. And it led to creation of Andhra as a first linguistic state. So, in October 1953, Government of India, it created the linguistic state known as Andhra by separating Telugu-speaking areas from Madras state. This line is important. Andhra is created by separating Telugu-speaking areas from Madras state. Now here remember, Government of India has been forced to first linguistic state as Andhra state. This is another important bit. Remember, which is the first linguistic state created in India? Andhra is the first linguistic state created in India. Then came the important commission, Fazal Ali Commission in 1953. Fazal Ali Commission had three members. One was Fazal Ali, second was K.M. Panikkar, and third is H.N. Kunzru. Fazal Ali, K.M. Panikkar, and third one is H.N. Kunzru. Now, it submitted report in September 1955, which led to establishment of a State Reorganization Commission, which is also known as State Reorganization Commission. Now, what is the difference between first two commissions and State Reorganization Commission? Here, State Reorganization Commission accepted language as the basis for reorganization of state. Yes, State Reorganization Commission accepted language as the basis for state reorganization, but it rejected one language, one state. It means on the basis of language, we can evolve, we can reorganize state, but one state cannot be given for only one language as we have mixed population. So they accepted language as a broader criteria for evolution of state, for reorganization of state, but they rejected one language, one state formula. One language, one state cannot be there. Simultaneously, along with language, four major factors that can be taken into account for reorganization of state were underlined by this particular State Reorganization Commission. First factor was preservation and strengthening of the unity, sovereignty, security of country. So first important factor was unity, sovereignty, integrity and security of the nation. Second important factor which should be considered was linguistic and cultural homogeneity of the region to which we are going to constitute into a state. Third, financial, economic and administrative consideration of a state, whether we can make that state financially, administratively and economically viable or not. And finally, planning and promotion of the welfare of the people in each state as well as nation as a whole should be the basis. So planning should be the basis. These four factors could be definitely asked in the examination. First was unity, sovereignty, integrity, linguistic and cultural homogeneity, financial, economic and administrative convenience, planning and promotion of welfare. Now, this is important bit. State Reorganization Commission of 1956 recommended creation of 16 states and 3 union territories. But Parliament through 7th Constitutional Amendment Act created 14 states and 6 union territory on 1st of November 1956. This is very important factual information everyone should know. Recommendation was there for 16 states and 3 union territories. Parliament created 14 states and 6 union territories on 1st of November 1956. Now, what is the evolution and current state? Let's go into it. Now, on this side it is state, year of formation, and from where it has been formed, from which state it has been carved out, from which state, which region, which union territory it has been separated, has been given in the third column. First, Andhra Pradesh, 1953, it was part of Madras province. Gujarat, 1960, it was part of the Bombay. Maharashtra, 1960, again part of Bombay. Kerala, 1956, it was part of state of Travancore and Cochin. This is important, state of Travancore and Cochin. Nagaland, 1963, it was earlier Union Territory. Haryana, 1966, it was part of Punjab state. Karnataka, 1956, state of Mysore was formed in 1953 and enlarged Mysore in 1956, which was renamed in 1973 as a Karnataka. Himachal Pradesh, 1971, it was earlier Union Territory. Manipur, Tripura, 1972, Union Territory. Meghalaya, 1972, autonomous state within the state of Assam. Meghalaya was an autonomous state within the state of Assam. Sikkim, 1975, it was associated state since 1974 and a protectorate of India before that. Two important amendments linked with Sikkim are 34th Constitutional Amendment Act and 35th Constitutional Amendment Act. 34th Amendment Act gave a status of associated state to Sikkim, and 35th Amendment Act gave Sikkim a full-fledged state as a status. Mizoram, 1987. Mizoram was a district of Assam till 1972, and then 1972 to 87 it became Union Territory, and from 87 onwards it became full-fledged state. Arunachal Pradesh, 1987, Union Territory. Goa, 1987, Union Territory. Uttarakhand, 2000, it was part of Uttar Pradesh. Chhattisgarh, 2000, part of Madhya Pradesh. Jharkhand, 2000, part of Bihar. Telangana, 2014, it was part of Andhra Pradesh. So these were the part. Now another important bit, it is about certain changes into the Union Territories where you could definitely get a question. So what are the points? See, Union Territories with their own elected legislature and government. So which of the Union Territories in India have separate legislature and elected government? So three Union Territories. One is National Capital Territory of Delhi. Second is Jammu and Kashmir. Third is Puducherry. National Capital Territory of Delhi, Jammu and Kashmir, and third one is Puducherry. Union Territories without elected legislature. Andaman and Nicobar right now. Chandigarh, Dadra Nagar Haveli, Lakshadweep, Ladakh. Former Union Territories that are being converted into state, means these states which are right now state have earlier been Union Territories. Nagaland, 57 to 63. Himachal Pradesh, 56 to 71. Manipur, 56 to 72. Tripura, 56 to 72. Arunachal Pradesh, 72 to 87. And Mizoram, 72 to 87. Goa, Daman, Diu, 61 to 87. Daman and Diu, 87 to 2019. Dadra and Nagar Haveli, 61 to 2019. So that's all from my side on this topic of union and its territory. We'll be coming up with more interesting topic in the days to come. Till then, thank you very much. Have a good day. Thank you.